The great hall smelled of smoke and sweat. Ember kept her eyes down as she carried the heavy tray of roasted meat. Her bare feet moved silently across the cold stone floor. All around her, wolves from every pack in the Northern Territories filled the benches. They laughed and shouted and slammed their fists on the wooden tables. She was invisible to them. She had always been invisible. Her own pack, the Silverpine, had taken her in as an orphan. But they had never truly accepted her. She was the girl with no wolf. The girl who could not shift. The girl who served while others feasted. Ember's arms trembled under the weight of the tray. She approached the high table where the alphas sat. Her alpha, Marcus Silverpine, did not even glance at her as she set down his plate. His mate, Luna Violet, wrinkled her nose as though Ember carried a foul odor. "More wine," Violet snapped without looking at her. Ember nodded and turned away. That was when the hall fell silent. The sudden quiet pressed against her ears like water. She froze mid-step. Every head had turned toward the massive doors at the entrance. The torches flickered as a cold wind swept through. He entered. Alpha King Thorne Blackwood. Ember had heard the stories. The ruthless king who had united the packs under his rule through blood and terror. The wolf whose eyes glowed silver even in his human form. The man who had never taken a mate. He was taller than any wolf she had ever seen. His black hair fell to his shoulders. His face was carved from granite and shadow. A thick fur cloak draped across his shoulders. And his eyes. Those terrible silver eyes swept across the hall like a blade. Ember's heart hammered against her ribs. She should move. She should step back into the shadows where she belonged. But her feet would not obey. The Alpha King walked forward. His boots echoed on the stone. Every alpha at the high table stood. Even Marcus Silverpine, who feared no one, straightened his spine. "Your Majesty," Marcus said. His voice steady but careful. Thorne did not respond. He was still scanning the room. And then his gaze found her. Ember's breath caught in her throat. Those silver eyes locked onto hers. She could not look away. She could not breathe. The tray slipped from her hands. Clattered to the floor. Roasted meat and vegetables scattered across the stone. The sound shattered the silence. Humiliation burned through her chest. "Foolish girl," Violet hissed. Ember dropped to her knees. She began gathering the food with shaking hands. "Leave it." The voice was deep and cold and absolute. It rolled through the hall like thunder. Ember looked up. The Alpha King stood directly in front of her. So close she could see the silver rings in his irises. So close she could smell cedar and winter wind on his skin. "Stand," he commanded. Her body obeyed before her mind could catch up. She rose on trembling legs. The entire hall watched. Hundreds of eyes. Judging. Waiting. "What is your name?" Thorne asked. His voice was quieter now but no less powerful. "Ember," she whispered. Her voice sounded small and broken. "Ember," he repeated. The way he said it made it sound like something precious. "Your Majesty," Marcus interrupted, stepping forward. "This girl is no one. Just a servant. I apologize for her clumsiness." Thorne did not look at Marcus. He kept his eyes on Ember. "No one," he said softly. Then his hand rose. Ember flinched, expecting a blow. Instead, his fingers brushed against her temple. The touch was gentle. Electric. Something inside her chest cracked open. A warmth she had never felt before spread through her veins. "Impossible," someone whispered. The whisper became a murmur. The murmur became shocked exclamations. Ember did not understand. She bears no mark, Violet said, her voice sharp with confusion. She has no wolf. Thorne's hand dropped to his side. But his eyes remained fixed on Ember. She has a wolf, he said. His voice carried to every corner of the hall. And she is mine. The word struck like lightning. Ember's knees nearly gave out. The Alpha King had just claimed her. In front of every pack. In front of her own Alpha. In front of everyone who had ever called her worthless. Your Majesty, there must be some mistake, Marcus said. His face had gone pale. This girl is nothing. She is unworthy of. Choose your next words carefully, Marcus. Thorne's voice dropped to a lethal quiet. You are speaking of my mate. The word hung in the air. Ember's mind spun. This could not be real. She was no one. She had no wolf. She had nothing to offer a king. But she cannot shift, Violet protested. She has never shifted. She is broken. Thorne turned his head slowly toward Violet. The Luna took a step back. She is not broken, Thorne said. Each word was carved from ice. She is bound. And I will unbind her. He turned back to Ember. His hand extended toward her. Come up. Waiting. Come with me, he said. It was not a command. It was a choice. Ember looked at his hand. Strong. Guard. Steady. Behind her, she felt the weight of Marcus's anger. Violet's jealousy. The shock of the entire pack who had treated her like dirt beneath their feet. She thought of the cold room where she slept. The scraps of food she was given. The years of silence and servitude. And she thought of the impossible warmth that had flooded through her when the Alpha King touched her. Ember placed her hand in his. His fingers closed around hers. Solid. Real. The hall erupted. Voices rose in protest and confusion. But Thorne ignored them all. He pulled Ember close to his side. You will never serve again, he said to her alone. His voice was low enough that only she could hear. You will never bow. You will never be invisible. Do you understand? Tears burned behind her eyes. She nodded. Say it, he commanded gently. I understand, she whispered. Good. He turned to face the hall. His arm remained around her. Protective. Possessive. This gathering is over, Thorne announced. My mate and I are leaving. Any pack who wishes to challenge my claim may do so now. Silence. No one moved. No one spoke. No one dared. Thorne began walking toward the doors. Ember walked with him. Her hands still clasped in his. Her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. As they passed Marcus, the Alpha finally found his voice. You cannot just take her, he said. Thorne stopped. He looked back over his shoulder. I am the Alpha King, he said simply. I can do anything I wish. And I wish to take what is mine. Then he continued walking. Out of the hall. Into the cold night air. Ember glanced back once. She saw the faces of those who had tormented her. Furious. Powerless. And for the first time in her life she smiled. The Alpha King led her to where his horses waited. He lifted her onto his mount as though she weighed nothing. Then he swung up behind her. His arms came around her to hold the reins. Are you afraid? He asked against her ear. Ember considered the question. She should be terrified. Everything she had ever known was behind her. Everything ahead was unknown. No, she said. And she meant it. Good, Thorne said. She felt him smile against her hair. Because your life begins now, Ember. And I promise you, no one will ever treat you as less than a queen again. The horse surged forward into the darkness. And Ember held on, not because she was afraid of falling, but because she was finally being carried toward something more. The forest closed around them like a living tunnel. Trees towered on either side, their branches weaving together overhead. Moonlight filtered through in silver shards. The horses' hooves thundered against the earth. Ember could feel the heat of Thorne's chest against her back. His arms formed a cage of protection around her. She had never been this close to anyone, certainly not to a man, and definitely not to the most powerful alpha in all the territories. Her mind raced with questions she did not dare ask. Why had he claimed her? What did he mean when he said she was bound? How could she possibly be his mate when she had no wolf? "You are thinking too loudly," Thorne said behind her. His breath was warm against her ear. Ember stiffened. "I apologize, Your Majesty." "Thorne." "What?" "My name is Thorne. You will use it." "I could not possibly." "You are my mate," he interrupted. "You will call me by my name." "That is not a request." Ember swallowed hard. "Yes, Thorne." She felt rather than heard his satisfaction. They rode in silence for several more minutes. The sounds of the gathering had long faded behind them. Now there was only the rhythm of hoofbeats and the whisper of wind through leaves. "Where are we going?" Ember finally asked. "To my fortress, Blackwood Keep. It is still 2 days' ride from here." 2 days. 2 days alone with him. The thought sent a strange flutter through her stomach. "Will I have my own quarters?" she asked carefully. Thorne's arms tightened slightly around her. "You will have whatever you desire. But you will sleep in my chambers." Heat rushed to her face. "I do not understand what is happening," she said. Her voice came out smaller than she intended. "I know you do not." His tone gentled. "And I will explain. But not here. Not while we ride. When we stop for the night, I will tell you everything. Everything. Everything you wish to know." The horse carried them deeper into the wilderness. Away from civilization. Away from everything Ember had ever known. She should be terrified. Any rational person would be. But instead she felt something else entirely. She felt alive. For the first time in her 20 years, her blood sang in her veins. Her senses sharpened. She could smell the moss on the trees, the dampness of the earth, the wild, intoxicating scent of the man behind her. "Are you cold?" Thorne asked. She realized she was trembling, but not from cold. "No. You are shaking." "I know." He was quiet for a moment. Then he shifted, pulling his heavy fur cloak around to cover her as well. The warmth enveloped her. Smelled like him. Cedar and smoke and something darker. Something that made her pulse quicken. "Better?" he asked. "Yes. Thank you." They rode until the moon had traveled halfway across the sky. Finally, Thorne guided the horse off the main path. They entered a small clearing. A stream burbled nearby. The grass was soft beneath the trees. Thorne dismounted first. Then he reached up for Ember. His hands spanned her waist. He lifted her down as though she weighed nothing at all. For a moment they stood face to face. So close. His silver eyes bore into hers. In the moonlight they seemed to glow. "You are so small," he murmured. It was not an insult. Sounded almost like wonder. "I am sorry," Ember said automatically. His expression darkened. "Never apologize for what you are." He released her and turned to tend the horse. Ember stood awkwardly. She did not know what to do with herself. Should she gather firewood? Should she wait for instructions? She had spent her whole life being told what to do. Now, in the absence of orders, she felt lost. "Sit," Thorne said without looking at her. He was removing the saddle from his mount. Ember sat on a fallen log near the center of the clearing. She watched him work. His movements were efficient and practiced. He unsaddled the horse, led it to the stream to drink. Then he returned and began gathering wood. Within minutes he had built a fire. He struck flint to steel. Sparks caught in the dry moss. Flames rose. The clearing filled with flickering orange light. Thorne settled on the ground across the fire from her. He pulled dried meat and bread from his saddlebag. He tore the bread in half and held a piece out to her. Ember hesitated. "Take it," he said. She reached across and accepted the food. Their fingers brushed. That same electric sensation shot up her arm. She pulled back quickly. Thorne noticed. Course he noticed. He noticed everything. "You feel it," he said. It was not a question. Ember nodded. She bit into the bread. It was better than anything she had eaten in months. "What is it?" she asked. "The bond. The connection between mates. But I do not have a wolf. I cannot be anyone's mate." Thorne leaned back against a tree. His eyes never left her face. "You have a wolf, Ember. You have always had one. That is impossible. I have never shifted. Not once. I have tried. Believe me, I have tried." "I know you have. Then how can you say?" "Because I can sense her," Thorne interrupted. "She is there. Inside you. But she has been locked away." Ember stared at him. "Locked away? By whom?" Thorne's jaw tightened. "That is what I intend to discover." He leaned forward. The firelight carved shadows across his face. "Tell me about your parents. Your family." Ember looked down at her hands. "I never knew them. I was found as an infant. Alone in the woods near Silverpine territory. Marcus took me in out of obligation. Or so I was told." "Who found you?" "The beta's son. He was hunting. He heard me crying. And no one searched for your family. No one tried to discover where you came from. Marcus said there was no point. That I was likely the child of rogues. That I should be grateful he did not leave me to die." Anger flashed across Thorne's face. "Grateful," he repeated. The word dripped with contempt. "You were treated as a servant in your own pack." "Yes. Did Marcus ever try to help you shift?" Ember shook her head. "He said I was defective. That some wolves are born broken. That there was no point wasting resources on me." "Marcus is a fool." Thorne stood abruptly. He paced to the edge of the clearing. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. "You are not broken, Ember. You never were. Then what am I?" He turned to face her. "You are powerful. So powerful that someone feared you enough to bind your wolf before you could even walk." The words hung in the air between them. Ember's mind reeled. "That makes no sense. Am no one. Have no power. I have nothing." Thorne crossed back to her in 3 long strides. He knelt in front of her. His hands gripped her shoulders. "Look at me." She met his eyes. "You are my mate," he said fiercely. "The moon herself chose you for me. Do you think she would choose someone ordinary? Someone without worth?" Tears burned in Ember's throat. "I do not know what to believe anymore." "Then believe this." His hand rose to cup her face. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. "I have waited 30 years for you. I have turned away every female who sought my attention. I have refused every alliance that required me to take a mate. 'Cause I knew that somewhere the one meant for me existed. And tonight, the moment I walked into that hall, I felt you. Your soul called to mine across that room like a beacon in the darkness. A tear slipped down her cheek. Thorne caught it with his thumb. You are not nothing, Ember. You are everything. The intensity in his eyes stole her breath. She had never been looked at like this. Like she mattered. Like she was precious. I am afraid, she whispered. Of me. Of all of this. Of being what you think I am and failing. Of disappointing you. Impossible. You do not know that. I know you. I have known you since before time began. Our souls recognized each other tonight because they have been searching for each other across lifetimes. He stood and pulled her to her feet. Come here. He led her to the edge of the stream. The water reflected the moonlight like liquid silver. Do you see the moon? Thorne asked. Ember looked up. The full moon hung heavy and bright above them. Yes. She is watching us right now. She sees us. And she is pleased. How do you know? Because I can feel it. And so can you if you let yourself. Ember closed her eyes. She tried to feel what he described. First there was nothing. Just the sound of water. The crackle of the fire behind them. The whisper of wind. But then, something stirred. Deep inside her chest. Warmth. Presence. It was faint. So faint she almost missed it. But it was there. Her eyes flew open. I felt something. Thorne smiled. It was the first real smile she had seen from him. It transformed his face. Made him look younger. Almost boyish. That is your wolf, he said. She is waking up. But how? If she has been bound all this time. The mate bond is breaking through the binding. My presence is calling to her. Giving her strength. Hope fluttered in Ember's chest. Fragile and new. Will I be able to shift? Eventually. But it will take time. The binding is powerful. It will not break easily. Who would do such a thing? Who would bind a child's wolf? Thorne's expression darkened again. Someone who feared what you would become. Someone who wanted to keep you weak. But why? That is what we will discover. Together. He took her hand. Led her back to the fire. For now you need to rest. We have a long ride ahead of us tomorrow. He spread out a bedroll near the flames. Then added his fur cloak on top. You will sleep here. I will keep watch. You need to rest too. I am fine. Alphas require less sleep than most. But, Ember. His voice held gentle command. Let me care for you. You have spent your entire life caring for others. Taking scraps. Making yourself small. No more. From this moment forward you are cherished. You are protected. You are mine. The possessiveness in his tone should have frightened her. Instead it made her feel safe. Wanted. She lay down on the bedroll. The cloak still held his warmth. His scent surrounded her. Thorne settled against a tree nearby. Close enough to protect her. Far enough to give her space. Thorne, she said softly into the darkness. Yes, thank you. For claiming me. For seeing me. I did not claim you, Ember. I recognized you. There is a difference. She thought about that. What is the difference? Claiming implies possession. Recognition implies destiny. And you believe in destiny. I believe in you. The simple words wrapped around her heart. For the first time in her life, Ember felt like she belonged somewhere. To someone. She closed her eyes. Sleep came quickly. And in her dreams she ran. Not as a human. But as a wolf. Silver and strong and finally completely free. When Ember woke, the sun was already climbing the sky. She sat up with a start. I apologize. I should have woken sooner. Thorne was tending the fire. He glanced over at her. You needed rest. I let you sleep. But we should be riding. We will. After you eat. He handed her more bread and dried fruit. Also a water skin. Ember ate quickly. She was used to rushing through meals. Used to being hurried. Slowly, Thorne said. There is no rush. We have time. Felt strange to not be rushed. Strange to be allowed to simply exist without urgency. After they ate, Thorne saddled the horse. They set out again. This time, Ember noticed more of her surroundings. The forest was beautiful. Ancient trees stretched toward the sky. Birds called from hidden branches. Wildflowers dotted the underbrush in splashes of color. It is lovely here, she said. This is the borderland between territories. No pack claims it. So it remains wild. Do you prefer wild places to civilized ones? Always. Civilization breeds politics and lies. Nature is honest. They rode in companionable silence for a while. Then Ember gathered her courage. May I ask you something? Anything. Why have you never taken a mate before? Surely there have been many who wanted to be your queen. Thorne was quiet for a long moment. There have been many who wanted the power that comes with being my mate. But none who wanted me. I find that hard to believe. Do you? You are the Alpha King. You are strong and handsome and... She stopped abruptly. Heat flooded her face. She'd said too much. Thorne's chest rumbled with quiet laughter behind her. You think I am handsome? I should not have said that. Why not? We're mates. You are allowed to find me attractive. It feels presumptuous. Ember. He said her name like a caress. Do you know what I thought when I first saw you? What? I thought you were the most beautiful creature I had ever laid eyes on. Her breath caught. You are mocking me. I would never mock you. I am telling you the truth. But I am plain. Am too thin. My hair is always tangled. I am nothing special. You are wrong. His arms tightened around her. You are everything special. And I will spend the rest of our lives proving it to you. Ember did not know what to say to that. So she said nothing. But something warm and precious bloomed in her chest. They rode throughout the day, stopping only briefly to water the horse and rest. As the sun began to set, they reached a small village. Just a handful of buildings clustered around a central square. We will stay here tonight, Thorne said. There is an inn. You will have a proper bed. They dismounted in front of a timber building. Sign hung above the door. The Sleeping Wolf. Thorne led the way inside. The innkeeper looked up from behind the bar. His eyes widened when he recognized Thorne. He immediately bowed low. Your Majesty. We are honored. Please, I will prepare our best room immediately. Thank you. We will also need dinner sent up. And a bath drawn for my mate. The innkeeper's gaze flickered to Ember. She saw the confusion in his eyes. She was dressed in servant's clothes, dirty from travel. She looked nothing like a queen. But he was wise enough not to question. Of course, Your Majesty. Right away. He called for his wife. Within minutes they were being led upstairs. The room was simple but clean. A large bed dominated one wall. A fireplace crackled cheerfully. Windows looked out over the village square. The bath will be ready shortly, the innkeeper's wife said. She curtsied nervously and hurried out. Ember stood in the center of the room, uncertain. Thorne closed the door behind them. What troubles you? He asked. Everything. Nothing. I do not know any more. He crossed to her, tilted her chin up with one finger. Tell me. That man. Innkeeper. He looked at me like I did not belong. Like I was not worthy to be in your presence. He is a fool. But he is right. Look at me. I am covered in dirt. I am wearing rags. I am nobody. No. His voice turned hard. You are Ember Blackwood. My queen. And anyone who treats you as anything less will answer to me. Blackwood. She had not even considered that. His name was now hers. You are mine now, he said. In every way that matters. And soon, once we complete the mating bond, you will be mine in every way that exists. The intensity of his gaze made her pulse race. The mating bond, she repeated. What does that mean exactly? It means that we will be connected. Mind, body, and soul. We will be able to sense each other's emotions. Feel each other's pain and pleasure. We will be two halves of one whole. And how is this bond completed? She knew the answer. But she needed to hear him say it. Thorne stepped closer. So close that her body was nearly pressed against his. We must join together. Physically. And I must mark you. Mark me. With my bite. Here. His finger traced the curve where her neck met her shoulder. Even through her rough shirt, the touch sent shivers down her spine. Does it hurt? For a moment. But then it becomes pleasure. More pleasure than you have ever known. Heat pooled low in her belly. She had never felt desire before. Had never been touched with gentleness. But now, looking into Thorne's silver eyes, she felt something awakening inside her. Something that wanted. Something that craved. A knock at the door broke the spell. The bath is ready, Your Majesty. Thorne stepped back. His breathing was slightly labored. His control clearly tested. Thank you, he called. Servants entered with buckets of steaming water. They filled a large copper tub in the corner. Added rose petals and sweet-smelling oils. Then they left. Bathe, Thorne said. His voice was rough. I will wait downstairs. Take your time. You do not have to leave. The words were out before she could stop them. Thorne froze. Ember. I know we have only just met. I know this is all happening so fast. But I trust you. And I do not want to be alone. He turned to face her fully. If I stay, I may not be able to control myself. I did not ask you to control yourself. The air between them crackled with tension. You do not know what you are saying. I know exactly what I am saying. You are my mate. Am yours. And I do not want to wait anymore. Something fierce and possessive flashed across his face. Are you certain? Yes. That single word changed everything. Thorne crossed the room in 2 strides. His hands framed her face. Once we do this, there is no going back. You will be mine forever. Bound to me in every way. I understand. Do you? Do you truly understand what it means to be mated to me? His thumbs traced her cheekbones. It means you will be the Alpha Queen. You will have enemies. You will have responsibilities. Your life will never be simple or easy. My life has never been simple or easy. She placed her hands over his. But it has been empty. And lonely. And small. I do not want to be small anymore. Something in his expression softened. You were never small. You were just waiting. Waiting for this moment. Waiting for me. He lowered his head. His lips brushed against hers. Questioning. Giving her one last chance to pull away. Ember rose onto her toes. She pressed her mouth more firmly against his. She had never been kissed before. Did not know what she was doing. But instinct guided her. Thorne groaned low in his throat. His arms came around her, pulled her tight against his chest. The kiss deepened, became something hungry and desperate. His tongue traced the seam of her lips. She opened for him, tasted him. He tasted like wilderness and danger and home. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "The bath," Thorne said. His voice was strained. "It will grow cold." He stepped back, put distance between them. His eyes had shifted, no longer fully human. The silver glow had intensified. His wolf was close to the surface. Ember could feel it, could feel the raw power radiating from him. It should have frightened her. Instead, it thrilled her. She turned toward the copper tub. Steam rose from the water in lazy curls. The scent of roses filled the air. She reached for the ties of her rough servant's dress. Her fingers trembled, not from fear, from anticipation. She loosened the ties, let the fabric slip from her shoulders. It pooled at her feet. She wore nothing beneath. Servants were not given undergarments. She stood naked in the firelight, vulnerable, exposed. Behind her, she heard Thorne's sharp intake of breath. Ember. Her name was a prayer and a curse on his lips. She stepped into the tub. The hot water enveloped her. Soothed muscles sore from riding. She sank down until the water reached her shoulders. Then she looked back at Thorne. He had not moved. He stood frozen. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. His entire body was rigid with restraint. "Will you help me?" she asked softly. "Help you? Wash my hair. I can never quite reach all of it myself." 'Twas a lie. She could wash her own hair perfectly well. But she wanted his hands on her. Wanted to push him past that iron control. Thorne moved toward her slowly, like a predator stalking prey. He knelt beside the tub, reached for the soap. "Turn around," he said. His voice was rough as gravel. Ember shifted, presented her back to him. She felt his hands gather her hair, lift it, then the soap. His fingers worked through the tangles with surprising gentleness, massaging her scalp, working down the length of her hair. Felt incredible. No one had ever touched her like this. With care, with reverence. "You have beautiful hair," Thorne murmured. "It is the color of autumn leaves, of fire." His hands moved to her shoulders, soaped them, kneaded the tight muscles. Ember let her head fall forward. A soft sound escaped her throat, almost a moan. Thorne's hands stilled. "You are testing my control." "Good. Ember. I told you. I do not want you to control yourself." She turned in the tub. Water sloshed over the sides. She faced him, her body clearly visible beneath the surface. "I want you, Thorne. I want this. I want us." His eyes blazed silver fire. "You do not know what you are asking. Then show me." That was all it took. His control shattered. He stood, began removing his clothes. First the heavy leather vest, then his shirt. His chest was bare beneath, scarred and muscled and perfect. Then his boots, his pants, until he stood before her wearing nothing. Ember's breath caught. He was magnificent, raw power and masculine beauty. He stepped into the tub with her. The water rose dangerously high. But neither of them cared. Thorne pulled her against him, skin against skin. The sensation was overwhelming. Every nerve ending came alive. That warmth in her chest flared, spread through her entire body. "Do you feel that?" Thorne asked against her ear. "Yes. That is the bond. Growing stronger. Calling us together." His hands roamed her back, traced the curve of her spine. Ember clung to his shoulders, lost in sensation. "I need to mark you," Thorne said. His voice was barely human now, more growl than words. "Then do it." He lifted her, set her on the edge of the tub. Water streamed from her body. His mouth found her throat. It licked, tasted, moving lower, to that spot where neck met shoulder. "This will hurt," he warned. "Only for a moment. I am not afraid." His teeth grazed her skin, then bit down. Pain lanced through her, sharp and bright. But it lasted only a heartbeat. Then it transformed, became pleasure so intense she cried out. Light exploded behind her eyes. She felt something crack open inside her. A door that had been locked her entire life. And through that door, her wolf, she surged forward. No longer bound. No longer silent. Finally free. Ember gasped. "I can feel her. My wolf. She is here. She is real." Thorne lifted his head. Blood stained his lips. Her blood. Yes. The mating bite broke through the binding. He kissed her. She tasted copper and something wild. "Can you hear her?" he asked. Ember closed her eyes. "Listen." And there, a voice that was hers but not hers. Strong, fierce, waiting. "Yes, I can hear her." Tears streamed down her face. "She says she has been waiting so long. Trapped, unable to reach me. She is free now. You both are." Thorne gathered her close, carried her from the bath. Water pooled on the floor. Neither noticed. He laid her on the bed, came down beside her. "I will be gentle," he promised. "I do not want gentle. I want you." His eyes flared. "You will be the death of me, little mate. Then we will die together." He kissed her again, deeper this time, more demanding. His hands explored her body, learning her, claiming her. Ember arched beneath his touch. Everything was new, overwhelming, perfect. Thorne. She did not know what she was asking for, but he knew. He positioned himself above her. "This may hurt," he said. "I do not care." He entered her slowly, giving her time to adjust. There was pain, a stretching, burning, but beneath it pleasure bloomed. That bond between them flared blindingly bright. She could feel him, not just physically, but emotionally. His desire, his possession, his absolute devotion. And he could feel her too. Her trust, her want, her belonging. They moved together, finding a rhythm as old as time. Two bodies, two souls, becoming one. Pleasure built, higher and higher, until Ember thought she might shatter from it. "Let go," Thorne commanded. "I have you." And she did. Fell, broke apart, shattered into 1,000 pieces. Thorne followed her over the edge, his own release tearing through him. As they came together, something clicked into place. The bond sealed, complete, unbreakable. Ember could feel him in her mind, could sense his presence like a second heartbeat. "I can feel you," she whispered. "And I you." He collapsed beside her, pulled her against his chest. Their hearts beat in tandem. "You are mine now," he said. "Completely and forever. And you are mine." "Yes." They lay tangled together, sated, complete. Outside the moon shone down, blessing them. Inside a new queen was born, not from noble blood or ancient lineage, but from fire and survival and strength. Ember closed her eyes. For the first time in her life she felt whole. She had a mate, wolf, future, and she would let no one take it from her. Not the pack that had scorned her. Not whoever had bound her wolf. Not anyone. She was Ember Blackwood, Alpha Queen. And her story was only beginning. The morning sun streamed through the windows. Ember woke wrapped in Thorne's arms. His chest rose and fell beneath her cheek. She could feel his heartbeat, strong and steady. And through the bond, she could feel his contentment, his absolute peace. She smiled. "You are awake," Thorne murmured without opening his eyes. "How did you know? I can feel everything about you now. You're waking. You're breathing. Your happiness." He opened his eyes. Those silver depths locked onto hers. "How do you feel?" Ember considered the question. She felt different, changed in ways she was still discovering. "I feel whole, like I have been living as half a person my entire life. And now I am finally complete." Thorne's hand came up to cup her face. "That is exactly what you were. What we both were. Two halves waiting to become whole." She turned her head, kissed his palm. "When will we reach Blackwood Keep?" "By nightfall. If we leave soon." But neither of them moved. They lay together in the morning light, savoring the peace, the belonging. Finally Thorne rose. He dressed quickly, then helped Ember into her clothes. The rough servant's dress felt wrong now, like wearing a costume of her old life. Thorne noticed her discomfort. "When we reach the keep, you will have proper clothing. Gowns befitting a queen." "I do not need gowns. I just need something that does not remind me of who I used to be." "You were always who you are now. You just did not know it yet." They went downstairs. The innkeeper had prepared breakfast. He served them himself. His eyes kept darting to the mark on Ember's neck. The mating bite was clearly visible, claim for all to see. When they finished eating, Thorne paid the innkeeper generously. Then they mounted the horse, set out on the final stretch of their journey. The landscape began to change. The wild forest gave way to cultivated lands. Fields and farms appeared. People working the earth. They all stopped when they saw Thorne, bowed low. Their eyes widened when they saw Ember. Word would spread quickly. The Alpha King had taken a mate. By afternoon they crested a hill. And there it stood. Blackwood Keep. It was massive, built from dark stone that seemed to absorb the light. Towers reached toward the sky, walls thick and impenetrable. Should have looked forbidding. But to Ember it looked like home. "It is beautiful," she breathed. "It is yours. Everything I have is yours now." They rode through the main gates. Guards snapped to attention. Their eyes went wide when they saw Ember. In the courtyard, servants gathered, all curious to see their new queen. Thorne dismounted first. Then he lifted Ember down. An older woman approached. Her gray hair was pulled back severely, but her eyes were kind. "Your Majesty, welcome home. Mira, this is Ember, my mate and your queen." Myra's eyes filled with tears. She dropped into a deep curtsy. "My queen, we have waited so long for you." Ember felt overwhelmed. All these people, all looking to her. "I do not know how to be a queen," she whispered to Thorne through their bond. "You will learn. And I will be beside you every step." Mira rose. "Come, my lady. Let me show you to your chambers. You must be exhausted from your journey." Thorne nodded. "Go. Settle in. I have matters to attend to. But I will find you before dinner." He kissed her forehead, then strode away toward the main hall. Ember followed Mira inside. The keep was as impressive inside as out. Stone walls hung with tapestries. Torches burned in sconces. Servants bowed as she passed. Mira led her up a winding staircase. down a long corridor, to a set of double doors. She pushed them open. The chambers beyond took Ember's breath away. Enormous windows overlooked the mountains. A massive bed dominated one wall. Furs and rich fabrics everywhere. A fire crackled in the hearth. "These are the royal chambers," Mira explained. "Yours and the king's." She gestured to an adjoining room. "Your dressing room. I have already had gowns prepared. They may need adjusting, but they will do for now." Ember walked to the window, looked out over the kingdom that was now hers. "Mira, may I ask you something?" "Of course, my lady." "Why did Thorne wait so long to find a mate?" "He said he was waiting for me." "But how did he know I existed?" Mira smiled softly. "The king has always been different. Even as a boy, he could sense things others could not. Feel the currents of fate. He told me once, when he was barely 20, that he knew his mate was out there, that he could feel her. Like a star he could not quite see but knew was shining. So he waited, refused every match, every alliance. For 30 years he waited. And now we know why." Tears pricked Ember's eyes. "I am not sure I am worth such a wait." "Oh, my dear child." Mira crossed to her, took her hands. "You are worth everything. The moment you walked into this keep I felt the change. The air itself seemed to lighten. You belong here. Never doubt that." A knock sounded at the door. "Enter," Mira called. A young servant girl came in carrying an armload of fabric. "The seamstress sent these, ma'am." "For the queen." Mira took the gowns, laid them across the bed. Rich velvets and silks, deep greens and midnight blues, silver thread catching the light. "Choose one for tonight. The king is holding a feast in your honor, to present you formally to the court." Ember's stomach twisted. "A feast? Already? You are the queen now, my lady. People need to see you, to know you, to pledge their loyalty. What if they do not accept me?" "They will. Because their king has chosen you. And because you are stronger than you know." Mira helped her into a gown of deep emerald green. Fit perfectly. Clung to her curves. Made her hair look like living flame. Mira arranged her hair. Left some loose to cover the mating mark. But not completely. "There. You look every inch a queen." Ember barely recognized herself in the mirror. Gone was the servant girl. In her place stood someone regal. Someone powerful. Someone who belonged. As evening fell, Thorne returned. He stopped in the doorway. His eyes raked over her. "You are breathtaking." Heat flooded her cheeks. "The gown is beautiful." "I am not talking about the gown." He crossed to her, took her hands. "Are you ready?" "No. But I will do this anyway." "That is what makes you a queen. Doing what must be done even when you are afraid." He offered his arm. She took it. Together they walked through the keep. To the great hall. The doors swung open. Inside, hundreds of wolves waited. The nobility of the kingdom. Warriors and advisors. All there to meet their new queen. A herald stepped forward. "All rise for Alpha King Thorne Blackwood and his mate, Queen Ember Blackwood." Everyone stood. The room fell silent. Thorne led Ember to the high table, to 2 thrones side by side. He seated her first, then took his own seat. "My people," Thorne's voice rang out. "Tonight we celebrate, for the moon has blessed us. She has given me my mate, your queen, Ember Blackwood." He stood, raised his goblet. "To the queen! To the queen!" the hall echoed. Hundreds of voices in unison. Ember felt the weight of their loyalty, their acceptance. It was overwhelming and humbling all at once. The feast began. Music played. Food was served. People approached the high table. One by one they knelt before Ember, pledged their loyalty, welcomed her. She received them with grace she did not know she possessed. And through it all, Thorne was beside her, his presence a steady anchor. As the night wore on, he leaned close. "You are doing wonderfully. I feel like I am pretending, playing a role. You are not pretending. This is who you were always meant to be." Later, when the feast wound down, they retired to their chambers. Ember collapsed onto the bed. That was exhausting. Thorne laughed. He joined her, pulled her close. "You were perfect. They all saw it. Their queen. Strong and graceful and kind. I still cannot believe this is real. That I am here. That you are mine. Believe it. Because nothing will ever take you from me. Nothing and no one." Ember turned in his arms. Looked up at him. "What happens now? What about whoever bound my wolf? Will they come for me? Let them try. They will find I am not so easily parted from what is mine." His arms tightened around her. "But yes, we will investigate. We will find out who did this to you and why. And they will answer for it. I am not sure I care anymore. I have everything I want. My wolf. Home. Let the past stay buried. You are too forgiving. No, I'm just finally free. And I refuse to let old shadows darken this new light." Thorne kissed her softly. "Then we will build our future. Together. As it was always meant to be." They lay together in the darkness. Two souls finally united. Outside, the moon watched over them. Satisfied. Her chosen children had found each other at last. And in the months that followed, Ember grew into her role. She learned to lead beside Thorne. To make decisions that affected thousands. She trained with her wolf, learning to shift, to hunt, to run wild and free beneath the moon. She became beloved by the people, known for her kindness and her strength. And when whispers reached them of the Silverpine pack, of Marcus's rage at losing his servant, of his threats and his schemes, Ember faced them without fear. She was no longer the girl who had served in silence. She was the Alpha Queen, and she would bow to no one ever again. 1 year after Thorne had claimed her, they stood together on the battlements, looking out over their kingdom. "Do you ever regret it?" Ember asked. "Regret what?" "Choosing me. Taking a mate who came from nothing." Thorne turned to face her. His hands framed her face. "I did not choose you, Ember. Fate chose us for each other. And I have never been more grateful for anything in my life. Even though I still burn the breakfast porridge." He laughed. "Even though you burn the porridge. Even though you leave your boots in the middle of the floor. Even though you argue with me in front of the council. Especially because of all those things. I love you," she said. The words felt huge. Monumental. But also simple and true. "And I love you. For all of eternity and beyond." He kissed her. Soft and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, Ember rested her head against his chest. Listened to his heartbeat. Felt their bond humming between them. Strong and unbreakable. She had been treated like a servant. Like she was worthless. Like she was nothing. But the Alpha King had seen the truth. Had claimed her before the entire pack. Had shown her who she really was. And now she stood beside him. Not beneath. Beside. As his equal. His partner. His mate. His queen. And that was exactly where she belonged. The end.